Hello everybody, my name is Raccoon Bro VA, and welcome back to another reaction video. And I gotta say, I'm really liking this new direction they've gone with for the Smash Bracket thumbnails. It's it's some pretty great stuff seeing all these different artists bringing their own thing. Like they had Spidey for the Sonic vs. Fox one, and I think this might be Carbonated Gem doing this one. They do quite a few fan arts for Death Battle, so like it looks familiar to their style. I feel stupid, like I might be dumb. Was it them? Was it them thumbnail? Yes. Okay. Good. I didn't look at any of the other things, so I'm not spoiling myself. So yes, Red, the Pokemon trainer, versus Ness. I will be very surprised if Ness wins this. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys, because I know that in canon, Ness, a lot of his powers that he uses in Smash Brothers, he's only really able to use them whenever his party members are around, or his party members are the one who uses those powers, and he's just like borrowing them for the fighting game. I'm not entirely sure because I haven't played Earthbound, but especially depending on what they give Red for his lineup, which seems to be clearly illustrated here, I think it's going to be kind of a wash because Pokemon are crazy, but we'll see how they handle things here. So let's get into the mayhem.
Who would win in a fight between Red from Pokemon and Ness from Earthbound?
Yes,
I'm
very
Ink,
good
and this is
question.
Smash Bracket, the show where we put every playable character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate into a
really
giant
like
animated tournament to determine who's canonically the strongest. And with
Killer
that said, let's get
meme.
right into things with our first fighter for today, Red. There comes a time in everybody's
crazy.
life where they look up at the stars, take a
There's gonna be
deep breath,
so
and
many
think,
Pokemon.
hot dang, I
Yes.
wish I was a Pokemon trainer. For me, it started around second grade, when I wrote to the President of the United States asking him to make Pokemon real to achieve world peace. True.
I really think it should be a top priority for your scientists, because when you think about it, who could want to fight someone with a Charizard? No, that's who. Anyway, when you make them real, I would please like a Squirtle.
Story, for whatever reason it didn't pan out. But for our hero today, Red, it all began at the young age of 13 in a small place called Palatown.
I like
a place so
the
small,
footage
you have
of
to
the
wonder
real
how it
Game
functions with
Boy.
a population of only 10 people. Growing up, Red's favorite pastime was playing with his best friend, Blue. But as time went on, Blue decided that he was too good for the other 9 people in Palatown and began to bully Red. This left Red in desperate need of a new friend. And that's when he stumbled into the wonderful world of Pokemon training.
Oh, come on.
Some stories say that Red's journey began with a Poliwag named Polly, who saved Red from drowning as a child and became his closest partner. But most telling of Red's story takes us to the lab of the local Pokemon professor, Professor Oak, who offered both Red and Blue the choice of their very own starting Pokemon: Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur. And no matter what Red chose, Blue was always right there to counterpick him with the best option and try to beat him.
Yeah.
And embarrassingly enough, lose. Sucks to suck. But this sparked a fierce rivalry
I picked the
between
wrong
the two.
Pokemon.
Red set off to prove to Blue and to himself that he was someone worthy of the title Pokemon Master. He traveled to the Kanto region, collecting every Pokemon he could get his hands on and faced down every gym leader in the country, only to discover that Blue was doing the exact same thing and was always one step ahead of him, wiping out the gym leaders right before Red got there. And let me tell you, these gym leaders were no pushovers. They were the highest ranking Pokemon Masters with the explicit purpose of testing the merits of trainers to find the best of the best. These were battles that some trainers spent years practicing for, but Red and Blue cleared through them in a matter of weeks as preteen boys. These kids were destroying the best trainers around and found that they had a level of command over their Pokemon that was almost unrivaled. Eventually, Red grew so talented that he was given a shot at challenging the Elite Four, a task force of the 4 best Pokemon trainers in the entire region. If he beat them, Red would get a chance to battle the Pokemon champion and officially become the best that there ever was. And in order to overcome this challenge, Red was going to need some help. So he set out to catch every single Pokemon in the region. In the Kanto region, Red was able to catch all 151 Pokemon. And shortly after that, he ventured to catch Pokemon from other regions, eventually bringing his total to 386 Pokemon. But despite this huge selection, he typically only battles with a core team of 6.
I can't read this
Some of his
Pokédex.
staple Pokemon, and the ones that we're using today, are Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, Snorlax, Lapras, and Espeon. The 6 of them together cover just about every damage type and team role that you can think of. Charizard is a high-speed striker made to get in fast and do some serious damage.
I didn't realize he
in
had all the
combat, it's
starters.
moved so fast that rains come to a complete standstill, which would require Charizard to be moving nearly 1.5 times the speed of sound. And this speed helps it make full use of its power. Now, I could talk about how its flames are hot enough to melt stone and strong enough to shake an entire island, but my favorite display of Charizard's strength is here, where it knocks out a Pidgey in a single attack, literally just by breathing. What a legend. With a strong bond to its trainer and a Mega Stone, Charizard can Mega Evolve to rocket its stats to an all-time high, and look extra cool while doing it. And if it needs some extra help, it can activate Beat Up, which brings all 6 of Red's Pokemon into battle for one massive attack.
Frickin' intimidating is the scientific term for knocking out birds with just your breath. Yeah.
Getting to the next Pokemon, Venusaur serves as a major source of utility for the team. While it's strong enough to slice through solid stone, its true threat comes from the dangerous status effects that it has. Whether that's debuffing its target stats, poisoning them, putting them to sleep, changing the weather, enhancing other moves, or shooting a giant sun laser from its back. One of these things is not like the other. But Venusaur is a vital part of Red's strategy, much like his next Pokemon, Blastoise. This thing is a perfect mix of strength and defense, able to use its sturdiness to function as somewhat of a ranged brawler. While it has access to moves that can increase its defense and attack power, its favorite method of attacking is shooting out jets of water and ice, capable of tearing holes through a cliffside like this. Oh, also, it can fly. Just wanted to throw that out there. But now let's talk about the team's tank. Snorlax is able to mix its durability and attack power with its sheer girth to become a great frontline attacker. Like a walking yo mama joke, Snorlax is so hefty that he shakes an entire city just by jumping on the ground. But while he may be heavy, he's no slowpoke. Snorlax was once able to outspeed a moving bullet train, running over 100 miles per hour to jump in front of it and take the full brunt of the collision.
Oh my god.
And when this is mixed with a huge range of moves that you just wouldn't expect a Snorlax to have by looking at it, Snorlax more than earns its place as a mainstay on Red's team.
Snorlax.
Much like the next teammate, Lapras. While Lapras doesn't have many direct beats that we can look at, we can get a look at its signature ice attacks, which are cold enough to freeze a geyser solid. These ice moves and other ranged attacks like Surf or Thunderbolt allow it to be a powerful foe from a distance, maintaining solid control of the battlefield while singing its way into violent sonar victory.
Wow.
Now let's talk about the final Pokemon in today's battle.
Well, Lapras makes its own water.
Compared to the other Pokemon, Espeon is somewhat of a wild card, possessing powerful abilities that you wouldn't find in a list of its moves. For starters, it's able to detect even minuscule shifts in the air, allowing it a kind of blind sense to predict its enemies' thoughts and movements, which it can also use to predict the weather. That's nice. Espeon also has the hidden ability, Magic Bounce, which can reflect status effects back on the attacker, protecting it from otherwise debilitating debuffs, while also getting a healthy dose of revenge. This layer of protection gives it full reign to go all out with psychic attacks, while keeping their opponent on their toes. Take the move Trick Room, for example, which allows a slower opponent to attack before their otherwise faster enemy, or Power Swap, which allows Espeon to swap attack power with a stronger opponent. A well-trained Espeon is perfectly poised for a battle strategy that disorients its opponents through Trick Room. It can confuse them and then use that advantage to launch attacks against their weaker foe, whether that's psychic lasers or playing cards that get stronger with each hit. Espeon's unpredictable nature makes it a truly lethal threat to any opponent. These 6 Pokemon come together to form a dangerous team of highly skilled fighters, but they're more than just enslaved animals to Red. To Red, his Pokemon are his family. He has an undying love for all Pokemon, but especially his own team, and he would do whatever it takes to keep them safe, even if that means jumping in the way of attacks, risking his own life to stop harm from coming to his Pokemon. And each of his Pokemon would do the same for him. Their bond is so strong that Red doesn't even need to speak to command his Pokemon. Instead, they're able to sense his thoughts and emotions so well that he can expertly command his entire team without saying a single word. And I do mean expertly command. When things get dire, he's been known to call out and command all 6 of his Pokemon at once with little issue. Red led his team to defeat the Elite Four, and eventually came face to face once more with his longtime rival, Blue, who got to be the Pokemon champion for like 5 minutes. That's rough, buddy. But Red ultimately came out on top and overtook Blue for the title of Pokemon
That's what you
champion.
get, you little
He had
butthead.
finally done it. He caught them all and became the very best like no one ever was. But in the wake of his victory, Red found reaching his goal to be bittersweet. He'd become the best of the best, but that meant that there was no one left to really challenge him.
What am
When
I
you're the
gonna do
best,
up
you
here
never
at the
get a
very
real
top?
battle. So after cementing himself as the true champion, Red climbed to the top of Mount Silver, a reclusive, snowy mountaintop,
We
where
look
he and his
exactly the
Pokemon
same.
waited
Why?
in silence for an opponent skilled enough to truly give them a
No, we
challenge.
don't. I have a backwards cap.
Sometimes the greatest
We're totally
adventure that we can
different character
have isn't in
designs.
some faraway land, fighting mythical beasts and becoming an all-powerful warrior. As a Latin choir probably sings their way to victory or something.
What?
Sometimes warrior isn't in some faraway land, fighting mythical beasts and becoming an all-powerful warrior. As a Latin choir probably sings their way to victory or something. Sometimes the greatest adventure that we can have is in our very own backyard. Such is the case for Ness. All things considered, Ness was a pretty average teenage boy. He loved baseball, his favorite thing in the entire world was rockin', and he always wore his signature t-shirt and shorts no matter the weather. Ness lived in a country called Eagle Land, on the northern outskirts of a small city called Onett. There, he lived with his mother and his sister and the family dog, eating home-cooked steak and relaxing with his friend, Porky. Ness lived a peaceful, happy, uneventful
Eric
life.
Cartman.
Until a meteorite slammed into the earth next to his house, Ness jolted awake and went to go investigate the site with Porky, only to find out that this was no ordinary meteor. It contained an elite, time-traveling insect warrior named Buzz, who warned Ness of an incoming universal
He-
cosmic destroyer,
One of the most
Gaius.
annoying spirits.
But before Buzz could relay all of the details, he was murdered by Porky's mom, who just thought he was an ordinary bug.
Nah.
Talk about a buzzkill, am I right? I'm here all day, folks.
Why are you the way that you are?
But with his dying breath, Buzz left Ness with the following prophecy.
She was
Ancient legends
horrifying,
told
by
of
the
4
way.
children who banded together to defeat Gaius. They must unite, multiply their power with the earth itself, and remember that their true
One
power
of them
is
will be
wisdom,
named
courage,
Who.
and friendship. So to
Would you
start
like some
off,
honey?
Ness needed to seek out 8 special locations called sanctuaries to unify his heart and lead him to victory. Now remember, despite this lofty prophecy, Ness was still just a young teenager from a small family in a small town. The only thing he destroyed is a piece of steak at dinner time. This all came out of nowhere for him, but despite his lack of training and despite his experience, Ness knew that people were counting on him, the world was counting on him, so he took the only weapon that he had, an old, cracked baseball bat, and set off to save the universe. He
Here we
started
go.
off in his hometown by single-handedly clearing out an entire gang of criminals called the Sharks. He fought through their ranks and faced off against their leader, and also completely demolished a tank to get to the first location of his sanctuary. This was like 10 minutes after he left. What was his mom feeding him? Anyway, when he got there, he fought a giant magical
built
ant,
different.
as one does, and claimed the first of his 8 sanctuaries. And it wouldn't be long before he got the remaining 7. But to find them, Ness had to team up with new friends.
Oh,
By
I
using
am not used to
telepathy,
that
a
art.
young
What the
psychic
hell?
named Paula was the first to find him. And she was shortly
In Japan,
followed
when
by
it's
a
still called
geeky
Mother
bedwetter with rocket launchers named Jeff, and a mystical prince named Pooh.
Ah.
Together they adventured to increase their power in hopes of somehow stopping Gaius. But as they grew stronger, Ness awoke to a powerful magical ability called Psi. Interestingly enough, most of the spells that he's most commonly associated with due to his appearance in Super Smash Bros. Aren't actually spells that he can do.
Yeah, exactly.
But Ness still has a variety of powers at his disposal. Life Up can heal him back from damage that he's taken, and Healing can heal his status effects during a battle. In the official Earthbound novelization, this took the form of an ability called Psycho Healing, which automatically healed Ness back from the brink of death, mending his bones and filling him with the energy to continue fighting. What's better than healing, though, is preventing damage in the first place. Shield reduces damage taken by 50% and turns the remainder back on the attacker. He also has some limited utility by being able to teleport to a location of his choice, providing that he can build up enough speed.
Okay.
But none of these are quite as useful in battle as his offensive spells. Hypnosis and Paralysis do what they sound like, but things start to get more interesting with the spell Psi Flash. This ability generates rays of light that can wipe out hordes of enemy in a single go with some strange effects. The most notable is a 40% chance to instantly destroy anything it touches. Holy
Jeebus.
crap. But there's also a 35% chance of causing an enemy to cry so uncontrollably that they're effectively blind.
Yeah.
And a 10% chance of causing the target to feel strange, making them attack themselves and their allies instead of Ness. Just a single use of this attack is absolutely devastating. and a serious risk to any enemy nearby. His
that
strongest
seem
attack,
very
though,
useful,
has to
though,
be Psy Rockin',
when
which in the
deciding
book
who's
he
the most likely
describes
to
as
win
a
a fight
rockin'
out of, like,
150
100
mile per hour
scenarios.
fastball that represents the ultimate manifestation of his soul. We'll get into this attack more in a minute, but for now just keep it at the back of your mind. All of these abilities
Locked
filled
in.
Ness with the power and confidence to become a force for good in the world. He fought through all sorts of evil beasts and weird beasts and coffee beasts. Okay, Earthbound is Earthbound. But there's also a certain charm that comes with this weirdness, and it's part of what makes it so memorable. And the same quirkiness extends to Ness's arsenal too. He can negate otherwise lethal attacks with his trusty teddy bear, pull out a sock so dirty that it induces violent vomiting, or shines his teeth with a toothbrush so that his glorious teeth can paralyze an enemy. Not all of his items are weird and quirky though. He upgraded from his
got that
old
triple
worn
bank
baseball
gum.
bat to a legendary bat
smile.
that amped up his strength and guts, allowing a greater chance for a powerful smash attack that does double damage. He also has a bag of Dragonite that holds a powder that can transform him into a dragon for a single powerful attack, and the Franklin badge, which can turn lightning back on the attacker. This badge is actually worthy of note though, not only for its presence throughout the franchise, but also for where Ness obtained it. Ness received the badge before a battle with the leader of an evil cult who uses
It's like
lightning
that
based
manga.
attacks.
It has
While
kind
in
of
gameplay, we
kind
can't
of
see the
looks
full
like
extent
Akira
of what this looks
Toriyama's
like.
art style,
We can
but
see
like
it on
not
display in the
really at the
Earthbound
same
manga.
time.
Ness uses a burst of speed
Yo,
to leap
no,
in front of the
no, it
lightning
looks-
bolt and manually
it reminds
deflect
me
it
more
with
of like,
his badge.
like
Given that
Osamu
these are still
Tezuka.
panels, it's hard to measure the speed of the lightning.
'Cause it
So a
kinda
conservative
reminds me of
approach would
Astro
be to
Boy.
compare it to real-life Tesla coils, which
Oh.
produces electricity that looks fairly similar to what we see here. This means that to intercept the electricity, Ness would have to be moving nearly 1.3 times the speed of sound. The cultist that Ness fought was also notable for another reason. He was being possessed and influenced by an evil figurine called the Manny Manny statue, a relic that corrupted
he's
an
faster than
individual
Sonic.
by showing their true power without any modification on its part. Rather than lying to them, it uses the allure of legitimate power to corrupt its targets to serve it. So, why does this matter? To answer that, it's time to get into the true extent of Ness's power. It's time that we come back to PK Rockin'. After obtaining all 8 melodies
get a
and
blonde
visiting
kid as
every
Jeff, come
sanctuary,
on.
Ness awoke in a new dream reality called Magicant. This realm within his mind allowed him to revisit
Magicant.
memories that he made across his journey. And upon seeing these memories, both good and bad, Ness was able to accept and integrate every aspect of himself. And after this journey of self-reflection, Ness unlocked his true power, gaining a massive stat boost. While he was powerful before, it was nothing compared to his power after.
What?
Eventually, he was able to take hits from Gygas himself. And while this was a clear increase in Ness's power, there's no clear indication of the kind of power that Gygas was putting out, nor what Ness's true power looks like here. But luckily, we can turn to the Earthbound novelization once more for some clarification of what this might look like. The statue puts Ness in a parallel dimension where he's able to demonstrate his full, unbridled power. He yells and lets out a massive bang. This power causes the sun to explode and the earth to tremble. The sky shatters and a vortex of blood shoots out of the older kids next to him.
Oh.
Thunder rings out through the air and the atmosphere itself boils like a witch's cauldron. Lightning strikes down on the earth, destroying
Okay.
the schoolhouse. Classrooms crumble as the students get dismembered by bursts of wind. People have their
Why?
bodies severed, or they explode, or they're cut up like rags, or they fall unconscious. So, yeah. Woo!
Oh my
That gives us
God.
a better picture of the kind
I
of
hope
output
kids
that
didn't
Ness
read
achieves
that.
after Magicant when he fully lets loose. Talk about
Traumatizing.
tonal whiplash. This is the same guy that was just battling Mad Duck. And this is all the more dangerous when considering Ness's fighting skills. After much experience, he got to a point where his body would move itself out of pure combat instinct, rather than needing to cognitively think about and consider what's happening. This allowed him to automatically beat enemies in the most effective way possible. And this skill activates whenever Ness fights an opponent, even if he tries not to fight them. It's a pure mastery of combat that extends beyond his control. But even with all of this new power and skill, it was barely enough to scratch Gygas. Ness was letting off full power attacks, but Gygas just laughed them off and sent them right back to Ness, causing massive damage. But at this lowest point, when Ness was taking hits from a galactic destroyer, Buzzbud's words returned to his mind.
That looks
Rely
like a
on
fetus.
wisdom, courage, and friendship. So the team began to pray, pleading with their friends for positive thoughts to energize Ness and his crew. Until, in one final burst of power, Ness landed a grand slam of a final blow, erasing Gygas from existence once
And
and
erasing
for all.
your
Now, I know that took
game's
some
memory
pretty
file.
wild twists and turns, starting from a bee warrior sending a kid off to collect music, or fighting cups of coffee with a toothbrush and then saving the universe, but this is part of what makes Ness and Earthbound so special to so many people. At the end of the day, he isn't some power-seeking warrior. He's just a kid who was totally out of his league, but still wanted to do the right thing and protect his friends and his world at all costs. And sure enough, after the adventure concluded, he didn't go on to bigger and better things. He helped his friends get home, returned to Onett to tell his mom of his adventures, and ate a good old steak dinner, knowing that thanks to him, the world was just a bit safer.
Yeah.
With all of that out of the way, our combatants are set.
Whoa.
But before we get into the fight, I want to ask you to help out the channel. If you like what you've seen so far, the single best way that you can help us is by watching another episode right after this, or rewatching this one. I know, sounds weird, but helps a lot. So if you like what we're doing, please feel free to check out the rest of our series. We all work super hard on it, and it's my baby, and I love it,
Do it.
and I'm so glad that you watch
Do
it.
it.
Thank you. Anyway, let's get into our animation to figure out who's gonna win between Red from Pokemon and Ness from Earthbound. Let's get into it.
Smash bracket. You look a bit more animated. Oh, shiz. I liked that.
That boy I saw should be just ahead. Once he sees how strong you are, he'll have to lead us to that wish spirit, right? Ness, I know that Pooh can pull through this, but my magic, it's not just, I'm really counting on you.
Aha. I'm loving this music. It's gonna be some very interesting presentation. Oh wow. Oh my god. Look out, Ness. I like how the music has gone like super low key for this part as well. Really interesting. Ah. Glorious. There you are. Jeez, Ness, you're literally just beating up a cat. Come on, man. Whoa. Really interested who is animating these hand-drawn parts. Blastoise! Oh, you don't want to mess with the water shell guys. They're water types and they don't have shells. That is what they are. There's power combos. Oh. Oh my gosh. This part's feeling a little Origin, I say. Ah, oh crap. Oh my gosh, I'm really liking the back and forth here. You can't even see me. Woo. Go for it. That would have been nasty. Whoa. Travel across the land. How was that side? Come on, let's do this! Beat up this child! Look at the teamwork. I really like how the teamwork is being implemented here with all the Pokemon. I mean, you never see stuff like this in the games. Wow. Still going. Red. Red. Oh, shiz. Trey. This is Trey Tunes. I just realized. I'm an idiot. Aww. Fuck him up! What the I like it. I really like it. Oh, time for the all-out attack.
Ness, please. We need you.
Holy crap. I like that. Okay.
What?
Holy God. Ah. Aw. Dang.
Alright, so straight up, this might be a serious contender for one of my favorite sprite animations.
No
Each animator did—
Yeah, no kidding. That was incredible. You know what? I gotta say, I was wrong. I totally underestimated Ness. When they started saying all that stuff about him, I was like, yeah, no, he's starting, especially that stuff with the novel.
an incredible job, and I'm so thankful for everyone's help on the team, from animators to researchers to writers. But now let's break down that result. I think establishing where each fighter landed with stats is a good starting point. And for the sake of simplicity here, we're going to treat Red's entire team as one stat block. For attack power, this was a no contest win for Ness. I could get into specific numbers here, but one person
Yeah.
is blowing through a mountainside, and the other character is exploding the sun and boiling the atmosphere.
Jeebus.
This gets to a point where numbers are unnecessary. Likewise, he was able to withstand these same attacks being turned back against him.
Wow.
This power and durability was going to shoot way past anything that Red has ever endured. Where Red's team did have an advantage, though, was speed. Red's Pokemon have so many different ways to slow Ness down while boosting their own speed by a factor of 4, and with minimal setup, this would be almost no issue for them to take the speed advantage. That said, this starts to get more complicated with our next category, skill. There is no denying that Red is a master at what he does, maybe the best there ever was. And even when he was a kid, he was able to outplay adults who had trained their whole life. Red especially had an advantage with his team's ability to coordinate and work together. But that said,
True.
it's just not a match for somebody whose body is moving all on its own through pure instinct to masterfully maneuver through whatever combat he goes through, even if it's through
pretty
hordes
crazy.
of enemies. Ness takes nearly every stat here, but it's not like there was nothing Red's team could do, and surprisingly, the biggest threat of all was Espeon. If we say that its Magic Bounce should be able to work on Ness's PK Flash, then there was a chance that Ness would accidentally take himself out of the match early on. Espeon could also use Power Swap to temporarily gain Ness's attack power for itself.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
that was
even
the one I
if
was
it were to do
thinking
this,
about.
Ness has been able to take his own attacks and remain standing, so it would require several of these to take him out of the running, which would also take care of any pesky status effects that had been applied. That said, this is all assuming a very optimal situation for Red that is pretty unlikely to play out every single time. Red would have to lead with Espeon, use the exact right moves, pray that Ness doesn't target Red himself, and then there would maybe be a 40% chance of winning. Even in this totally ideal scenario, the best that Red is pulling here is a 2-5 win rate. It's also worth noting here that for Ness, beating up random enemies on the street without a moment's hesitation is just an average day for him. Whereas
True.
Red would probably have more of an issue directly attacking a little kid. It's not likely to make him refuse to act altogether, but any kind of hesitation would be working against him here. Outside of all of that, all Ness needs to do is land one attack once, and in doing so, the entire opposing team would be wiped out, which he potentially wouldn't even be able to hold back from doing. Ness was just too strong, too tanky, and too skilled for Red to be able to stand a chance. At the end of the day, Ness is the winner, and will be moving on to the next round of the Smash Bracket. Next time on the Smash Bracket.
I know what this is already.
Let's get serious, kid.
All right. Oh, here we go. The story mode. Poor Banjo and Kazooie. Oh God, why do you look like that? Ugh.
I think that's the wish spirit, right?
We gotta go to Pizza Tower. What was that for? Oh my God. Oh my God. Dude. Jeebus. No. Oh my gosh.
Pathetic. In the end, all of you shall kneel. Whether you die now or later has no importance to me.
Oh no, Jirachi.
I wish you to show me who possesses true power.
Kirby, that's the name you should know. Kirby. He's the one who has true power. Oh man, that was so freaking cool. Let's see who all worked in this. So yeah, so many freaking Omega, Origin, Levi, Adriel, Discovery, Yves, Trey, Toon, Sonics, Kenai. It's incredible. And look at all. Yeah, Levi. He has become the master of the silent protagonists voicing them, and not bad, Ink. I didn't think it was you voicing all those Pokemon. Not bad at all. This was so much fun. I really think this might be their best sprite fight yet, and that's coming off the trails of Sonic versus Fox, so that's saying something. Just like all these different animators coming together, and it didn't really feel that all that jarring every time it switched between them. Like, it told like a really cool story despite not even having any dialogue technically. Like, all the Pokemon got different chances to interact with each other and use interesting combos and power sets, and like it was just like really awesome choreography there. And by the end of it, I was definitely rooting for Ness, because this poor kid is just getting beat up by six monsters all at once. So it was pretty cool seeing him make it out, and also like offer a hand in friendship by the end. Hope Sephiroth doesn't freaking murder this child. He's already murdered one. This is the thing he does in this show. I like how between this and also the Wooden Planks comics, everyone kind of just agrees that Sephiroth is the ultimate bad guy. Even like all the other bad guys, they can't even compare to how evil this mother is. So yes, incredible work here, everyone at the Smash Bracket team, and I cannot wait for Lil Mac versus Min Man. We're gonna hopefully get some nice boxing action involved. So thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you all liked the video as much as I did. Be sure to stay tuned for the next video. Take care.